Good evening. Good evening also over there. So this type of evenings is a chance for an insight. This word insight is a very beautiful one in English. It means being able to look into, to look deeply into something into the nature of something. This, of course, this type of insight requires special conditions. Because it requires all of our energies, all of our being, attention, listening. Moving away from the mundane, making ourselves very available, and using our mind and heart in a very different way from the way we use them on a daily basis. Just for functioning, emotional reactions, managing our day, thinking about this or that, fulfilling duties. The mind is an extraordinary thing. The heart is an extraordinary thing, but to give them the space to get in touch with an insight we need for some time to stop and to be silent. In a way to transfer all our daily energies to the deepest part in us, the part that is conscious, aware, listens, and knows. Now, an insight is always experienced as a remembrance. It's more like the capacity to look into an already existing reality. You listen to something, you take a look at something that is already there, yet you simply haven't had the time, the energy to see it. So for this insight to emerge, and when an insight emerges, it's very easy to know that it's there. Our whole body responds. It's almost like every cell in our body says yes. It's not just a matter of feeling or a thinking, but more like a surge that rushes from the deepest part of ourselves. With a clear yes. Yes, I know that. Or I know that this is what really matters. So I know that this is reality beneath illusion. I know that that is true, don't ask me why. We're never able to fully reason our insight. Because it's too close to our being. To give it explanations, justifications. So to start our journey, we will take some guided meditation. And for that, we will, as we traditionally do in meditation, we will close our eyes, sit in a straight position. Opening our chest, widening it, allowing our shoulders to gently fall backward. And the first thing we do in our meditation is to slow down the breathing and at the same time deepen it. This means that the breathing becomes less and less brief and also less and less superficial. So let's get in touch now with the part in us that is conscious right now. This means simply the part in us that is aware of the situation, aware of the body, of the breathing, the part in us that looks at everything, at every thought, every emotion, in a way it's a part that is a bit distant from the stream of life. Because its first quality is to be conscious, be aware. Perhaps you locate this part in the upper part of your head or the forehead or the back side of the head. Wherever it is the part that gives attention to everything. Take a look at this part. Jokingly, we can say, pay attention to this part that pays attention. Sense this deep awareness that is behind your mental activities, emotional activities. And see how the more you become aware of these parts, the bigger it becomes. Feel how you're filling your entire being with this awareness. As if you become pure attention. Every pore of your being, every cell becomes filled with this. Realize how you're always aware. This part is always behind all activities. You can even think of it as the hidden smile of the Buddha in you. It's like a hidden inner smile that observes everything calmly, never gets damaged, never becomes disturbed. Feel this smile deep inside you. Even when things become terrible and conflicted, outside this smile remains. Because it belongs to a part that is unchanging. It belongs to awareness itself. Now let this part grow and grow endlessly. Imagine that it is expanding without end. And when you feel so full of awareness, use it now, not to go very, very high, but to actually agree to enter your life. Feel how from this place you agree to feel with presence, with awareness, your body. Feel how the breathing connects this inner smile of awareness with your body. That is, the breathing draw more and more of this awareness into the body. Now feel how you say yes from this space, deep in your heart. Agreeing not only with your body but also with your heart. To be aware and present. And then say yes with your mind. Think how you unify awareness, body, heart, and mind in this act of complete presence. Use the mantra, here I am, to connect all those pieces of your being. With this increased presence, take one last deep breath and slowly and gently come out of the meditation. Opening your eyes with this inner smile, with this, yes, with this presence. So perhaps you're starting to guess what I'm wishing to talk about this evening. I come from the world of Hinduism and yoga. Not that I'm an Indian. Sometimes people think I am. But because this was my training, this is my terminology. So I come originally deeply from the Eastern world, Eastern thought. And in the Eastern thought, there is a very big concept, a very major concept, which is called liberation. And liberation in Buddhism and Hinduism essentially means one clear thing, that put simply, that you don't come back to this place anymore. It's like you're at a certain point, you're through enough processes of meditation, enough processes of this detachment that we did just now, separating our awareness, expanding it. When you do this deeply enough, you realize what this spark of awareness is. It contains the whole universe, the whole of reality, from beginning to end. Not that there is beginning or end. But in Hinduism and Buddhism, basically the aim is to free this part, that is our consciousness, in a way that we finish our business on earth. It's like a sort of a school. You graduate from the school through intense meditation, intense yoga, intense experience, and you are freed. And sometimes people, because I'm meeting many people also in person, sometimes people that are shaped by this Eastern thinking, they tell me, I really must be free, I must liberate myself, otherwise I will miss the chance and I will have to reincarnate again. And whenever they say reincarnate, it sounds like, like a horror story, or what you tell your children when you are a bad parent that might happen to them if they don't brush their teeth. You see? Like, if you don't brush your teeth, the monster from the closet will come. Oh no, this is a really bad parent. Forgive me. I actually, I probably took it from some movie. So, but sometimes in the Eastern world, the yogic world, the Buddhist world, the concept of coming back again to this world is almost scary. Not almost, it's scary. It seems like a horrible thing. Then there is a certain longing to what we call to come back home, to return home. It's like here we are some sort of wanderers, lost souls, and we strive to return to the big oneness and to never return again. And there we could rest and feel at home finally after this strange period of human experience. Now, perhaps this is true, but this evening is taking a sort of a different path. Which is, for me, at least adds some deeper type of liberation. Of course, again, even when we speak of liberation, the whole concept is being freed. You see, so maybe even liberation is wrong, but let's use it just for fun. You see, there is a part in us that from the very moment of birth, when we start experiencing this extreme place that is called the human life, Earth, it's that resists this life, that doesn't like it, that begins to enter a sort of a struggle with the challenges and the demands that are put on us. I just 1 week ago I watched there was a documentary with Jim Carrey, and he said how about human beings that he said it positively that we are all human beings have a sort of a deep longing to die, a deep longing to finally rest and be freed from all this turmoil, not needing to worry about anything anymore. I don't know if it is that extreme, a deep longing to die, but surely a sort of a deep resistance and the wish to escape. And this deep resistance and wish to escape keep us in a way unincarnated. You see? It's like we're not fully here with the whole of our being, with the whole of our presence, with our entire heart. because we haven't said yes to this challenge. We haven't unified with it, you see? It's like there is a sort of a separation that is always there. And that appears in fantasies of escape and also in our emotional system that and our thinking that always want to try to push away everything. Say no. I don't want this place with its disappointments and with its hardships and with its deep, scary mystery. Like to be here, I always say, being here without a manual. Right? When we came to this life, no manual was dropped from the sky, like, hey, you over there, grab this book. Some people want to say that there is a book, such a book, they call it the Bible. I read it, it didn't work. It's extraordinary, it's deep, it's profound, but it's definitely not a manual. And I read it a lot. So we don't have the manual, and it's a bit of a scary place. And then when somebody comes to us and says, "Hey, there is a possibility of final escape, of ultimate escape. You release yourself, you release your soul, and then you never need to reincarnate." And that part in us that is in a way already an escapist, already fearful, fears life, wants to grab it. It sounds like a wonderful thing. And originally in Eastern thought, reincarnation is also considered suffering, considered an endless cycle of suffering. It's like you cannot escape, you just get to be reborn again and again and again. But let's say, first of all, perhaps there is no other place. To a certain degree, nobody knows. Unless, we really trust some yogis and so on that tell us with passion that there is. But perhaps there is no other place. Perhaps that's it. Perhaps that's it. Perhaps there is no home. And second, what is this part in us that finds reincarnation, the need to, let's say, endlessly incarnate again and again and again and again and again, as something that is so terrible, as something that is bad news. You see, we need to understand that this part that in us that wants to escape minimizes our presence in the body, in the heart, in the mind. Which means that whenever we need to face challenges, whenever we need to face demands and life as it is, we don't really bring everything that we've got. You see, we don't give everything. We are divided. Let's say, for example, perhaps while you're sitting here, there is a part in you that doesn't really want to be here. That wants, I don't know, that thinks of going to the cinema afterwards, or to meet friends, or to watch TV, or to just relax. Or that you want to do some other stuff, and then your mind begins to wander. Your heart begins to diminish in presence. Now, how much of this meeting could you realize? How much could you gain when you're only very little present? Now, think of the other way around. You're fully here. You're not divided. You only want to be here. While you're here, of course. Afterwards, something else. But while you're here, you're not split. So this means that the whole of your energy is in this evening to transform, to change, to gain an insight. Now that's not different from life. If we haven't said our yes yet, a fully conscious yes, from the depth of our heart, body and mind and spirit, to this experience, our presence will always leak. It will always flow and become scattered. Now, of course, this is even if you take very seriously the reincarnation thing, it says as long as your energy is scattered, you cannot be fully here. As long as you're not fully here, you don't learn the lesson. You see, to understand life, to get to know this phenomena, this experience fully, you need to bring the whole of your awareness, presence, consciousness, and passion. And as long as I'm keeping some kind of a gap, from life, I'm always postponing, perhaps, to a future life. When we're going to die, and we're all the time going to die, let's make sure that we agree on that. When we're going to die, we need to be able to tell ourselves with a perfectly complete heart, yes, I've been here. I've been here completely. I've known all emotions. I've known all feelings. I've really delved into this human experience. I've given everything. I've encountered and exhausted this thing, even the terrible parts. Because I have said yes to everything, I've known fears, and I've known anxieties, and I've known love, and I've known pain, and freedom, and expansion. And even suffering I've known completely. Please understand there is a sort of a universal law that says you could never be free from something that you haven't understood. Some people, when I have pain in me, if I'm trying to say, oh, yes, there is no pain right now, or life is good, or start trying to think positive thinking, or trying to suppress it, push it away, or to mentally push it away with some reason, and so on. This means that I don't know pain, you see? I never really look it in the eye, never really go through it, unified, to fully understand it. Because if I fully understand pain, there is an end to pain. There is a moment in which you have understood, and you don't need to go through certain things. I like to tell this story because it's a nice story. That I met many years ago a real beautiful yogi in the Himalayas. It sounds really exotic, right? But this is how it was. So, and he told me about his story of spiritual awakening. And he described it in the simplest, sweetest way I've ever heard. He said, for 9 months, I was only laughing. He said, night and day, I was just laughing. And then, for 9 months, I was only crying, endlessly, night and day. It was just all the tears that were in me came out. And then, he said, for 9 months, once again, I was only laughing. And he said, and after this, that was it. There were no more laughter, no more tears. Now, if you laugh, it didn't mean that he wasn't smiling anymore, don't worry. But that would be tragic, right? But that he didn't know anymore these extremes. He didn't need to go through these two extremes because he has reached deep silence. But this happened only because he was completely unified with the process. He allowed all the pain and all the pleasure in him to reach an end. And afterwards there was a true fulfillment of these streams inside him. Now we usually sometimes we don't believe that things can come to an end, you see. We usually know only circular patterns. It's like they come and they go. We are in pain, maybe we understood pain in a certain experience, but then it comes in another experience. But this is because we still haven't understood pain. We haven't known it. We haven't understood why we cry when we cry, why we get insulted, why we're angry when we're angry, why we get caught in desire, and so on and so on. Now, when people say, I want to be liberated, I want to be enlightened, and as quickly as possible, I want to return home or whatever, this is dangerous. Because sometimes this means I want to simply skip the process. I want to detach now, to not get harmed, to not get damaged, to not get tainted by human experience. So that's the universal law. You need to go through the whole of it. You need to know it from within, inside. Okay? But to know it, how can you know it if you resist it? How could it ever be revealed to you? If we fear it, you understand? It's like if I'm afraid of this experience because it's demanding, because it's challenging, and it is. Believe me, I know it is challenging. That's not a very restful place. And that is why we did at the beginning this meditation we use this opening of consciousness to say yes. To be able to say yes, to be able to come back here. Isn't that what we mean when we say here and now? Here and now means here, in the midst of the human challenge. I am here. I'm not going away. I'm not fantasizing. I'm not divided. I'm going to embrace the challenge of being a human. To know it all throughout. Because that's where I am. And it's not easy. It's not easy. We have this. It's in our subconscious. It's so deep. This resistance. It's almost like an inner gesture of being taken aback. It's like we walk in life like this. It's like we're not. Yes, and yes, of course, yes. But it's never letting go into life. You see that's the difference, because some people they hear about letting go and they think, oh yes, I let go of life. No, you need to let go into life. You see, that's a relaxation. It's like saying, okay, I don't resist anymore. I'm letting go. I'm letting go. Not of the experience. I'm letting go into the experience. That's a real letting go. Whenever we have any opening in meditation, and opening in meditation are so available and so possible, then we need to use them to overcome our resistance. Not to keep fantasizing about home. If there is a home, where I promise you we'll get to know it afterwards, we'll have enough time. But then if you go into this life fully, then home, this other thing, will be just like another door that opens in the same house. It's not like this, that. It's again just here and now. And that's the real magic, because when you're fully here, you're free. And you don't care about incarnation, reincarnation, another lifetime, liberation from the body. You don't care about these things because you are free already. You said yes. So, which means that you are fearless. And that means that you are basically also indestructible. And we at least have this inner smile of the Buddha. That gives us courage. But the greatest liberation is unifying completely our mind and our body, our being and our life. Then it's, in that sense, it's not your last incarnation, it's simply the only incarnation. So, let's see if you have any questions. I already have, this is a question from online, but of course I will first answer here. Yes, please.
Going home means to go into life.
I'm sorry?
Going home means to go into life.
To go into life? This is what you're asking? Can going home mean going into life? Yeah. Mm-hmm. What is home? Let's start understanding this very term. When I say home, what does that mean, home? There is a clear psychological separation between not home and home. And what does that mean? When I go home, I can finally breathe, right? I can finally relax. It's like this outer world is with all its challenges. Maybe there is the workplace. Maybe there are crazy people on the road. I mean, driving crazily. Maybe there is all the intensity, and you have a social role. And then at home, you are like, you can be yourself. You just put yourself on the sofa and with a book and tea or whatever, and everyone accepts you in a way. I mean, at least home in the ideal sense. like you don't need to prove. Yeah. Okay. Home is the ideal. But this is how it is, when we have this is also the idea of family. It's like where you get to be accepted and encouraged just as you are. Right? Yeah. Okay, I will not enter that more. So, but this is home. It's a sense of restfulness, of relaxation. Where you don't need to prove, to struggle, to fear. You feel safe. And we have an inner home and a physical home. Physical home is the one with the roof and the walls and the floor. It's good that we have a home, especially when there's winter. It's good to be able to close the window and to have silence. And to have your private space. It's good. To sleep safely. And there is the inner home. The inner home is the place where we create, already as children, a place of escape. An inner escape. And I'm constantly saying that many people in the spiritual world confuse this inner home and awareness and consciousness. You see? When we talk about detachment or moving to our deeper self, then we say, oh yes, I know this place. It's where I go to feel protected and invisible. It's where I'm unseen by the world. But we need to make sure that it's not the same place. Because you see, with awareness, basically this part that is this inner escape and the outer world, this divide dissolves. Because awareness is so great that it makes home everywhere you are, as long as you're present and conscious. Which means that we have the power to create a real home through our consciousness by just being present. As soon as you are here, now, that's your home. That's it. Why would you go anywhere else? Wow, to heaven? Who said heaven is better? At least here it's interesting. But this is what we need to understand. Home is created through your agreeing to set your foot here and now, in the here and now. This is home. And as soon as you agree, you are at rest. So when you understand it in this way, you understand that home can be even the harshest places in the world. That you can actually feel inwardly restful if you only agreed to where you are and to the current challenge. So home, in the real sense, is a unification of body, mind, being, and our current situation. And people sometimes wander a lot in the world to find their home. I remember, by the way, it's the very same yogi that I told you at the beginning, some time ago. When I met him, I told him, I really want to leave now the city, to go to nature, because the energies, the vibrations, the tension in the city were just too much. So he looked at me and said, oh, I'm so far away from this experience. Meaning, he says, for me, city, nature, I don't even notice the difference. It took me many years to understand what he meant. That it's not about this. It's about bringing yourself fully. And then you can actually reach this extraordinary feeling that the world is your home. You are still, of course, free to create any physical home wherever you are, but wherever you want, but it's not, as long as it is not with this psychological need. But just out of joy. More questions? Yes, please.
Thinking about consciousness.
Yes.
I think everybody of us has a different consciousness. So when we sit here, all of us will look at something different. So is there a unique consciousness, a unique awareness, or isn't it something you can learn to see things from a different angle? So when I'm in a situation which brings fears to me, I probably could change my consciousness on something which does not make me feel full. So I wonder what you think about that.
So what you say is, I'm repeating it for the online participants, is that as you understand it, consciousness is individual, right? That everyone is looking at the world from a different angle. And then you are asking me?
Well, is there a unique way of receiving consciousness, or something good that we can change our consciousness? So in the situation where we have fear, just change it and look at different.
Okay.
Situation.
So is there a unique way?
Yeah.
And how can we use it, right?
Yes.
Well, first of all, it's important to clarify when I use consciousness or awareness, and that's actually a really major key to meditation, to deep meditation. I don't mean our unique perspective, the way we see the world, but behind that. That's at the beginning difficult to separate the two. It seems like they come together. We can't imagine that before we look at the world in a certain way, there is a looking that is primordial. Imagine it like that, like you have, and this is horrible to imagine it like that, but there is a camera, okay? And then I put a certain lens on this camera. I'm saying it's terrible because it's not that this awareness is is so lifeless as a camera, just technical. But it's like this unique perspective that we have is like a lens. And this lens is very important. It's not a mistake. It's true that each one of us looks through certain filters. These filters, they make us perceive the world in a different way. We even see, for certain people, because of these filters, they see certain things that are important to them, while others don't see them. Okay, when we walk on the same street, I notice certain things you're not even aware. If I tell you, "Did you see this?" You say, "No, I was busy looking at other things," because these filters, they determine what's important to us, but behind these filters, there is a pure vision. And that's awareness. Awareness is at the beginning, we discover it like a seed. It's so invisible, so small, and yet it is like a source of light that is consciousness, that illumines even our filters, even our unique perspective. When you begin to meditate on this small seed, you realize that this is your gate to universal consciousness, to impersonal consciousness. That there is a consciousness that is all-pervading, and that our consciousness is just a tiny fragment, and then there is even a tinier fragment, which is our unique perspective. So that's important to know because first of all, when we realize that, it gives us a sense that there is something that is common to us all, and something that is impersonal, that not the whole of us is only the individual experience. And this is quite a revolution in our life when we realize, oh, okay, I am an individual, but I'm also an impersonal being. That's why it gives us some freedom, because otherwise we're only stuck with ourselves for the rest of our life without ever being able to move freely between the different parts of our being. So saying that, I still don't understand the question.
I just wanted to know if there's a unique consciousness, so you answered it.
If there is a unique consciousness.
Yeah.
Of course there is a unique consciousness, without a doubt. There is a unique perception. Which is beautiful, valuable, and enriching for everyone else, not only for ourselves. Yes. Let's see. Okay. In the esoteric scene, it is often said, what I am is reflected in the outside. How are, I guess it means how does Shai experience that? Is it true? And if yes, how can experience be interpreted? What is it that my situation wants to tell me? Or does it not matter at all? Is everything just happening by itself and I shouldn't try to interpret and analyze? That's a very beautiful question. So, is everything just happening by itself and I shouldn't try to interpret and analyze? We need to understand that trying to interpret and analyze what is happening all the time is nice, has its good part, but also has its bad part. Its bad part is that we hope that by understanding why things happen, that they somehow make sense, and in a way this is our way to control them. It's like if I understand, if I can make sense, for example, if I get, I don't know, a certain accident, then I'm immediately starting to run with my mind, why did it happen, this accident? What is the reason? There must be a reason. It's not random. It's God-given or life-given, and there is some fragment of reasoning that we could pick from the mystery. Yes, some. But we need to understand that life is such a complex web of happenings. It's such an intelligent structure that our small minds cannot fully grasp why everything is happening to us. But then when I say, yes, of course, I understand why this is happening, it gives me a sense of control. From a deeper level, from a deeper perspective, the reason it gives me control is because of my resistance to life. It's like I always need to make sense. I always need to find the reason, because I can't just unify myself with the experience. I need to have some protective shield, some distance through my mind. That's why, when people unfortunately have cancer, every person who had cancer that I met immediately was probing into the question what was their I don't know, their emotional ignorance or suppression or and so on and so on. We need to understand that our society is right now flooded with tens of thousands of chemicals that we don't know their influence, their effect. So it's not always necessarily an emotional suppression. We are shaped and conditioned and influenced by so many factors that it's not always so simplistic. Like, because I suppressed, because I was stressed. Stress is always, but everyone is stressed, so. But not everyone is getting it, right? So, it is important to put in proportion the amount of interpretation and analysis of whatever is happening to us. If I always think there must be a reason, this is happening because of my doubts, my fears, we're starting to live in a sort of a magical life experience in which everything that is happening inside us immediately, it's like everyone is participating in it, you see, like airplanes, pilots, governments, everyone is participating in our happening. Everyone is just actors in our inner reflection, which doesn't make sense because they also have their story, right? So, sometimes saying, okay, I have this accident, I had this accident because I had this accident. Now what am I going to do? How am I going to act? How am I going to say yes to this experience and be in it just as it is, unifying my whole being to respond? You might feel that you have far more energy and strength than the one you get by just explaining things away. Sometimes it's good not to know everything. Because we can't know most of the things. Do we understand it? The most of life we're not going to understand ever. We can't understand it. We can't control it. We belong to life. We come from it. We come from a mystery. We live in it. And if it's true, if you live in an esoteric scene, but now it's not only esoteric, but also the psychological scene, everyone will immediately, whenever you have trouble, everyone will come and say, this is because of that, this is because of that, think this is what, and will try to analyze it. And pay attention. Do they come to you to help you analyze good things that happen to you? When wonderful things happen to you, do people come to you and say, yes, this is because of that, and this is because of this, and that, because you... No. The reason we analyze mainly the bad things is because we fear them. Yes, what... you were wanting to ask a question. Yes.
I was wondering what the challenge is when you don't resist life.
Again, please?
What would be a challenge
Mm-hmm.
if we take away the level of resistance?
What would be a challenge?
If we don't resist life, if we are completely present, how do challenges look like or feel like?
What do challenges look like? Do you know this beautiful act of the surfer? Those who surf huge waves, right? You know, if you don't ride the wave, you know what happens. You get tragically swallowed or helplessly and ridiculously get thrown away. This is when you unify with a challenge. It feels like a wave, a huge wave. It's a huge wave that you are riding. You are taking the same path. You are working with it, not against it. You're not resisting. We need to understand most of our emotions, and I know that this is horrible to say, you will not like me afterwards, but it's not my job to be likable. Most of our emotions are unnecessary. Yes, because most of our emotions are just protective shield. They are our way not to experience something. Emotions, they feel like in a way our home. It's where we cover ourselves and we feel pain, we feel sadness, we feel victims, we feel helpless. But how do they help us? This is where you know. That's why I'm saying when you enter pain completely, you're starting to learn its nature. You see? When you really enter it. because as long as you don't really understand it, it just, there will always be more waves of sadness. So we need to understand our emotions. So a challenge is, when you're one with it, is far less emotional and far more about action, pure action. It's like you're starting to respond. You don't create time like suspense through emotional resistance. And then you have all the energy, all the passion. It's like you are completely there. And you have only one question: what is my response? And that's it. And usually, if you are completely there, your response anyway follows organically from the challenge. It's not like you need to sit. What am I going to do? It's not about that. It's just, it's there. It's in your meeting. It's a dialogue with a challenge. It's not like something terrible comes to you and to assault you, you see? It's you are meeting it head on. You even have a little smile inside, even when it's really, because again, challenges can be really nasty. But if you have this inner smile, you are, in a way, happy to have this challenge. You are happy to have it. Try to only add this sentence instead of explaining things away. Just say, I'm happy to have this challenge. I don't know why I have this challenge, I'm happy to have it. And that's it. Now, how am I going to respond to it? That's it. That means you're here. Any last question? Yes, please.
I want to ask you in a practical way, because it happens that sometimes you have to do certain work.
Yes.
And mentally I classify this work as, let's say, boring, not
Yes.
challenging, and basically I would like to be away. But
Yes.
because of certain obligation, I have to do it.
Yes.
So I don't want to fake anything and to try to convince myself that this is wonderful, or I want to say really yes to it, but it may not maybe work straight away. Is there any way like to really take the challenge, to be fully present, to do this what is on the plate, but to be more natural, like any kind of practical way to simply accept it.
Okay. So you say that if you do boring work.
Well, let's say there is something you have to do, but your mind would like to be somewhere else.
Yes.
Your body would like to be somewhere else, but your
Boring.
is shit you have to be doing
Yes.
and to do it. But if you would like to really do it, to take this challenge, okay? But
Yes.
somehow
Yes.
it doesn't work. But
Yes.
it's a very way to push gently,
Okay. First of all, we need to accept that most things we do are boring. Most things I do in life is completely boring. No, seriously, I'm not joking. For example, even if I do creative stuff like writing books, Do you know how many days, weeks I spend doing such a tedious work around the book that it's worse than what an accountant does. It's so boring that it has nothing to do with creativity. It's not happy. It's not interesting. It's just, for example, I don't know, to make at the end of the book the list of sources that you used. It's so utterly boring, and we have here a center. Noga is managing the center, Noga and Yan, and it's most of what they do to manage a center of spirituality, empowerment, ecstasy. Most of what they do is completely boring because they need to maintain it, and maintaining is very boring because most of life is creating and holding whatever we do. And if we don't accept that, then we have a problem because we don't accept a huge portion of life. It's also, you bring a child to the world, exciting. The child is smiling, the child is running, all seems so cute, but most of it is boring. Most of it is taking care of the child, which is extremely technical. And sometimes the child is ungrateful, which is completely unfair. So, and then so most of the process of raising a child is tedious, is boring, but it's worth it, you see? So whatever is born in excitement needs to be held with many, many, many boring stuff. Even when you go to a boring work, in order to maintain your more exciting parts of life. So then, whatever you do needs to have a reason. If you don't remind yourself of a reason, you will lose it. You see? You need to find reasons, not reasons like esoteric reasons, why you do what you do. Where is how you can find the part that is a motivation of love or passion or something that justifies the boring stuff. You see? Sometimes when I'm drowning in technical stuff of the book, I need to remind myself that because it's exhausting, that basically before and after it's all covered with love. You see, it's driven by love. If you look very carefully, everything you do can find could be has the motivation of love, one way or another. We're doing everything for the sake of something. So as long as you have this, write it down. Whenever you feel that you're losing it, look at it or redefine it. And that will make your heart and mind engage in it. Because we don't understand, it's just like when you build a house, and building a house is very boring. But you build it because you want to create something beautiful that can hold a lot of wonderful things. So you do it out of love, and then it justifies the whole technicalities. Because this world is a world of 90% technicalities. Most of what we do during the day is maintaining our existence, physical existence. That's it. You never get to brush your teeth for the last time. Like, okay, you get it? Like you can tell your teeth, okay, I cleaned you. Now, could you just stay with your cleanliness for, I don't know, 1 month? No. 2, 3 times a day. Yeah, every day. Because most of life is maintenance. If it has a reason, then your being participates. Very good. So, thank you. Now we all cover our life with one big yes.